All right, let's talk, y'all. Let's talk about that one time that I was in third grade. It was summer camp. No, I'm kidding. Welcome to Odd One Out. Today is June 26, 2026. Today's Friday. TGIF, man. I'm excited. Every single Friday is amazing. I used to like them when I was a kid, speaking of being a kid, but it really hits differently whenever you're a pretend adult, Like, I feel like I'm still a child, but I just, you know, have the have the age of an adult. It's weird. But anyways, it's really good to be Friday. Cheers to the weekend. Looking forward to enjoying it with my family. Let's just talk, man. Honestly, let's just talk. Let's have fun. Last video, I absolutely crashed out, and it's one of those things where you wake up like cringing. You're like, I really let it go last night. Which, I mean, everything I said, I believe. Sometimes you just kind of let it loose. By the way, my lights over here are spazzing out. I'm going with it. Thought I'd try something new, just for the fun of it, just the vibe of tonight's show. Whoa. If you are tuning in, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It helps this tiny, random channel grow. And tonight's show is still going to be political. This is wild. I'm going to use this setting more often. This is kind of like a club. But tonight's show is still going to be political. You know, we grew up age of American exceptionalism and had good reason, completely good reason to think we were the greatest country on the planet, because we were, damn it. I know there's a lot of factors, and I say this is going to make a lot of the right-wingers cringe, but I say this as a person who's white and privileged. I grew up middle class to upper middle class later, so never really had to worry. So I get that I'm coming from a lot of privilege when I say that. But, we grew up thinking that we're basically invincible, we're untouchable, the world loves us. And to an extent, a lot of it did, especially Europe. All of the very developed countries, all of our NATO allies used to love us. It's like we took it for granted, got really bored with our system or something, I don't know. Got fed up with our system. I told y'all before, I really think that right-wingers lost their mind when a black man won, first of all. But then second of all, became really successful and is arguably one of our better presidents in history, period. Even if I'm to the left of him and have my criticisms of him, Obama was fantastic. It's like we just hit the self-destruct button. And it's really kind of hard sometimes to understand why. It's frustrating. It was fun to be a kid in this country. How about being an adult in the world's greatest country and to have Obama's, I think his peak real wage growth year over year was 5.1%, which means that you were making 5% higher than what inflation was that year on average. And it's like, that sounds amazing. It's the age of American prosperity. We had 70 straight months of job growth, unprecedented, never happened, may never happen ever again. And 14 million jobs added, I think it was. Massive GDP growth, massive wage growth. Inflation was so low. It was around the benchmark, like 1.8%, like we want it to be. Just really good times, man. Oklahoma City Thunder during Obama's term it was kind of like the economy. When Obama took over, it was just coming off of the Great Recession. Oklahoma City was awful, thanks Obama. And then got to be really good really fast. And just like Obama is young compared to presidents, the Thunder were young and they were killing it. Couldn't quite get that finals victory. Sorry, Obama. But they were always really good. It was fun. And then we went through a bit of a rebuild, thanks Donald Trump. That's what happened in his first term. Blew up the team after, trying to with Carmelo Anthony and Paul George, and then just Paul George with Russ. Didn't work. It was a fun team to watch, man, that's for sure. But we're kind of in no man's land whenever they blew it up and had Chris Paul, and it's like, okay, we're too good to tank and not good enough or not bad enough to get, a top draft pick. So went through a couple awful years. And then blew up, man. Sam Presti, the greatest GM of all time, drafted a really good team, made some really good trades, and won an NBA championship. I was gonna say thank you, Joe Biden, but that was actually during Donald Trump's second term that they won that championship. We'll credit it with the offseason that happened under Joe Biden's last year. Thank you, Joe Biden. So, You know, some really good years going back to just like general America, and plenty of criticisms to be had. Plenty of criticisms of the president. Not everything was great. There's always been struggles, and we certainly could be more progressive than we are, but a really good direction. And we just got fed up, I guess. Hit the reset button, hit the explode button, and chose the arsonist. And the problem is that a bunch of people thought that he was actually the firefighter. They legit thought this guy, this billionaire con man who stiffed all his workers, who had affairs with all of his wife, who had sexual assault claims before he was ever president, had that Katie Johnson story come out and then get scrubbed, and due to death threats, she pulled it back. Now we all know about the Katie Johnson story, unless you're a right winger that only stays on X. So, not sure what they saw in that guy, but they did also, even though they thought that he was the firefighter, they oddly at the same time wanted, like, were out loud about, like, destroy everything, tear it all down. The entire government's a sham, even though we were number one country on the planet by their own admission. They would have admitted that too. I don't know a right winger that's ever not thought that we were, well, except when Joe Biden and Obama were the president. But still, like, overall, the general thing, even then, they'd still be like, yeah, this is still the greatest country on the planet in general. And cognitive dissonance is a hell of a drug. To be thinking that it's getting absolutely trashed by who the president is, and then also at the same time say, yeah, no, we're the greatest country on the planet. You can leave if you don't like it. So, I'm here to tell you now, America is no longer the greatest country on the planet. And you can make an argument that it never really was, depending on how you look at it. But I'm just saying, like, the argument was, you could always easily make, America was the number one country. Now, we have completely destroyed all of our alliances, except of that with Israel. Oh, great. Awesome. Israel's our number one ally. Isn't that amazing? What a great ally. What a great person to champion your movement with. Oh, God. Literally all of Europe hates us. We don't, like, even though China's been an adversary, we would at least try to work with them and try to make some kind of progress. No. All that's out the window. Trump does love himself a strong man. Can't help but, suck off Xi and Kim Jong-un. But at the same time, like, our relations with them in general are trash. He tries to out-strongman them, and he's not a strong man. Just because he's loud and aggressive and likes to blackmail people and insult people doesn't make you strong. It makes you weak. Being strong means being able to uplift those who are not strong and can't speak up for themselves and defend themselves. And so you help them out. You do that for them. You uplift them. That's what a strong person does. That's what a man does, right-wingers. You guys like to think that being a strong man is just being a piece of shit. It's not. I've been cussing a little bit lately on this. I'm sorry. You can tell Kyle Kalinski's my number one YouTube watch. We're back to the crazy lights. But, I'm hearing as an adult now, and I'm just like, man, we really threw it all away. I'm an adult now. I got bills. I'm looking to get raises at my job. I've made significant career moves over my, short career. I'm young. But I've made a lot of progress. Just like a handful of promotions of title and duties and wage. Really seen some good stuff. Would always like to go get more. There's so much more room for improvement. But now it's like, inflation is 4.2%, dude. Like, that sucks. And yeah, I know Biden had high inflation. It wasn't his fault. It literally wasn't. I'm not just coping. You had him having to deal with the throes of COVID and all the log jams in manufacturing, all the issues that were with the recovery, and then you had Russia invade Ukraine, and now inflation. And by the way, he brought it way down to the 2s before he handed it off to Trump, and now it's back up to 4.2% because of Trump's own policies like tariffs and the war with Iran, like his own choices, not external factors, unless you want to count the Epstein files and Netanyahu, dangling some, we know you diddled some kids. We got a bunch of photos and videos kind of blackmail over them and said, you're going to do whatever I tell you to do. That's why the war's back on, back off, back on, back off. And they try to negotiate peace. Trump kind of makes it sound, he said like 39 times is what it was reported, that the war's over, it's done. And then it got to a point where it actually did look like it was over and it was done. But then we can't rein in the rabid dog, and we're right back at it now. Like, literally, the strait is closed again. We just bombed Iran after market closed. Go figure. Wait till the stock market closed and bombs Iran a day after Iran had struck a vessel warning it that, hey, we're closing it back down. So, really tough stuff, man. It's really frustrating. Like, people are so competitive and don't want to admit when they're wrong so much that they are willing to, like, make their bed and then go lay in it when it doesn't have to be a sealed deal. Like, we live in a democracy. You can get out there, you can organize, you can call your representatives, you can call your senators, you can just show your general dissent, and it all makes moves. Congress, like, everybody, a bunch of them, unfortunately, are in there for a paycheck, man. And even if you're like one of the good ones, like Bernie, I mean, you still want to be in there. You want to make change. You're in there for a reason. You choose to be in there. It's a choice. And the voters could hold them accountable and vote them out of office for bad policy, for not fulfilling their promises. But these right-wingers, man, they don't ever punish their politicians. They just go with it, and they would so much rather watch the whole country burn and collapse flat on its face than to say, I was wrong. The left was right. This thing they've been saying about daddy for 10 years now, they were right, man. They were right. Instead of doing that, they'd rather destroy their kids' futures. They'd rather own the libs than fix their mistakes, own up to it, be a man, be a woman, be, somebody in good faith. So it's tough, man. And my Thunder didn't make it this year. My Cope is actually decent Cope. Thank you very much. And that's the J-Dub, Jalen Williams, was injured. And he's the second best player, all-NBA caliber player. And he was hurt, okay? And then A.J. Mitchell was also out. So that's my Cope on that. I bought into all the fan rumors thinking that we were going to trade for Giannis. That didn't happen. But, so now my new Cope is, and I'm having to watch this trade, Isaiah Joe and Aaron Wiggins for a bag of chips. It makes sense. Like, it's all about money moves and trying to get under the tax aprons. So, like, I understand there's logic to it, but watching that bench thin out, which is part of what made the Thunder so diabolical, was that crazy bench. So, I don't know, man. Thunder's still in good shape, but headed in the down direction from where they were last year, just objectively, by not winning the championship like they did last year. The country is in the pooper. I don't know, man. It's tough, and these are things that could be changed. You don't have to sit down flat on your butt every 2 years that there's elections, decide to finally get out and go continue the carnage and vote for your ideological, I'm right, even though reality proves me wrong, I'm still right. This is how I believe it should be, so I'm going to make it that way. It's tough. I'm obviously hyper invested. Here I am talking to you on a YouTube channel. But I scroll through my buddy's social media. And yes, okay, they're MAGA / for sure Republican. And so it's I understand that they're not leftist, but is it really you can't, it's physically, mentally impossible to speak out if you're in the party? That doesn't make any sense to me. I would certainly hope that if the Democrats elected a person like Trump, I would hope this whole channel would be the same thing, and I would be I would be against what the Democratic Party is doing. But I mean, here we are, bro. Easier said than done, then, I guess, but I know for sure that I would speak out against it. I would not be silent, and I would certainly think I'd be doing these videos. I really think that there are ideological, moral, character differences, man. And look, I've got some flaws, bro. I've made some mistakes in my life. Everybody makes mistakes. You know how that song goes, but there's just something about being able to own up to it and say you're wrong, and it's embarrassing and it's defeating, but it's the right thing to do. And It's hard, man. If you're a right winger that's out there watching and you want the smoke, like seriously, if you actually want the smoke, come at me in the comments, dude. I invite it. Or if you're a right winger and you're disgusted with what you're watching, first of all, please don't just say, I'm going to go vote for another right winger that's like still MAGA adjacent, like a Tucker Carlson guy, like these total hacks, these shills. Please don't go choose somebody who is slightly less wrong. Like it's not. I'm not telling you have to become a Democrat, but I'm sitting here and I'm telling you, I'm watching leftists, real leftists win. And to me, if you're a MAGA guy but you're like feeling conflicted, either don't vote or give the Democrats a shot. You don't have to jump on the party. But it shouldn't even be prefaced, but I feel like I have to say, you are allowed to vote for people that are not in your party. You're allowed to vote for people you're skeptical of, but you want to send a message, or you recognize that this ain't working, so we need to try something else. You're allowed to do that. You don't have to vote down ballot, or if you're consciously checking every box, they don't have to all be the R, or the D, or the I. So, 16 minutes? Hey, man. Okay, cool. Can we make it 16 minutes and 30 seconds? We did. Odd one out.